Welcome to Retiring Well. We'll be sharing a retirement liquidity analysis along with buying time until Social Security kicks in. You want to be paying attention to that if you're prior to Social Security age. And Roth IRA conversion guide. Roth IRAs can be so vital to your retirement plan, along with purchasing a second home in retirement. What does that really look like? So all of this and so much more coming up on Retiring Well.
Retiring Well. Brought to you by Centennial Wealth Advisory, financial advisors specializing in retirement planning and serving all of Northern Michigan. Retiring Well, helping you plan for a successful and comfortable retirement. Retiring Well. Plan to retire well.
I'm excited to talk about this topic of liquidity with you today. It's a pretty boring topic, I think, overall, but it's very timely right now. And oftentimes we see people maybe making some irrational decisions here. So if you're somebody out there that has savings, extra money sitting in your checking account, CDs, whatever it is that's maybe not earning a great amount, pay attention right now because I want to walk through this with you. So when I use the word liquidity, what does that mean, the word liquidity? Think of readily available money. So if I need to get to money quickly, where I'm talking a couple days typically here, for a large sum or a purchase, I don't want to have to pay a penalty or have it tied up in an investment resource that I can't get it either without penalty or consequences, or just in flat some cases can't get to it. So I want to have this money available, right? So think of that when I use the word liquidity as readily available funds without cost or undue hardship. So what are some things that potentially you could need liquidity for in your retirement specifically? So one, healthcare, right? That's something that we're all concerned about as we age. Maybe what are healthcare costs? Automobile repairs or replacement. I'm going to need a new vehicle sometime. Or what if the transmission goes out or something like that? Home repairs. Going to need a new roof in a couple years. Or what if the hot water heater goes out? Stuff like that. Helping kids and grandkids maybe. You know, what if, your favorite child comes to you and says, falling on hard times, lost my job, I'm gonna need help making the mortgage payment for a while to get back on my feet. Maybe you're gonna wanna help them out, so you need access to those funds. Grandkids, maybe you wanna give some money to help them go to college. Lots of different examples of maybe what liquidity needs may be. Sit down and think about what those could be. Maybe jot some costs down or some numbers down that what you think that might be. Be careful about overestimating those. So like healthcare as an example. Do you have decent insurance? Is that protecting you from the big catastrophic amount? What is your deductible and your max out of pocket? Start to think a little bit more in depth when it comes to what that possibly is. Oftentimes when we sit down and talk with people, especially early on in their retirement, there's this mindset that I might need all of this money I've saved for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. I might need it all at once. Is it possible? Sure. When's the last time you needed all that money all at once in your lifetime? Probably slim to none, right? So what do you really need? So ask yourself that question. And why is this important right now? Well, for years and years, interest rates were very low. So having liquidity versus something else that was a similar concept didn't really change much, right? If I'm making 0% in my savings account and 0.1% in a CD, what does it really matter, right? Or something as an example. Those are hypothetical rates and stuff like that. But now, as interest rates have improved, we have to ask ourselves, what is that liquidity costing you? So if you have, for very ease of math, you have $100,000 sitting in your checking account right now, earning little to nothing. Well, there's fixed interest instruments out there that are paying north of 5%. Okay, depending upon the time and the term and the availability, there's a lot of qualifications, but just let's assume this for just a math thing for a second, okay? So if I'm making nothing on my $100,000 versus the potential of making 5%, that's what, $5,000 a year it's costing me to have this liquidity. Now, I'm not recommending somebody take all their liquidity and put it in some instrument like that, but what if you did half? That's $2,500 of interest potentially that you're gaining that maybe you wouldn't have had. So at the end of the day here, when you think of liquidity, start to think about what does it cost you to have this? How much do I really need to have in my retirement years? Keep an ongoing kind of monitor on this, because if you're a saver, you're likely building up more liquidity. If you're a spender, you might be spending down your liquidity, so it's likely something, this isn't a once in a lifetime thing, set it and forget it. It's likely an ongoing piece of the puzzle. So I challenge you to highly consider these options. Happy to sit down with you if you need some guidance along the way with starting to map out these details and look through these items and stuff like that. And we have a little bit more information on liquidity and the different items out there on our YouTube channel you can always subscribe to and go further in depth with some of the short segments we have out there about various specific topics of all the different financial world, but specifically when it comes to liquidity and some of the fixed options out there. Hope you found this valuable, and stay tuned because we have so much more coming up next right here on Retiring Well.
Make the most of Social Security. Although Social Security isn't designed to cover all of your income needs, it's an important part of the retirement puzzle. Download our free booklet on the Social Security decisions at cen-wealth.com and learn how to optimize Social Security for your situation. Why timing is so important when it comes to your benefits, ways to supplement your Social Security, and more. There is no cost and no obligation. Simply go to cen-wealth.com, scroll down, and click the download link to get your free booklet on the Social Security decisions.
Hey, welcome to this segment on how income annuities can buy you time until Social Security. Let's start with some facts about Social Security and the current population. With more and more Americans living longer and longer into their 80s and into their 90s, due to better medicine, better healthcare, better decisions that they're making personally, Social Security and when to take Social Security really is something that you want to think about and strategize around. What happens in Social Security is you could take it as early as 62. That is about a 30% reduction from what your full retirement amount would be. Not to mention the cost of living adjustments that you would be giving up as, by starting early would impose. If you're able to start at 67 or even delay until 70, you're growing your income about 8% per year. So if you look at that time from 67 to 70, it's about 24% increase in your monthly payments. What does that turn out to over a lifetime? Well, it depends on how long you live, but that can translate into $100,000, $200,000 of additional income, by waiting. And so the question becomes, well, what do we do with Social Security? When should we start Social Security? One of the biggest questions we get asked. The other thing I think you want to bring into account and when you're making that decision is, what is your health prospect personally? Because ultimately the cumulative benefits of Social Security depend on how long you're going to live and when you start. So if you're feeling like you have a good health prospect, then we really want to look into what different options you might have from when you retire to when you start Social Security if you're going to delay it until full retirement age or age 70. That's where these income annuities might play one part of your overall plan. Anytime we say the word annuity, it can elicit a lot of different reactions because people have a lot of different understandings of them. And that's because there's a lot of different types of annuities. So we'll talk about two specific ones, but with a little plot twist at the end that this space is growing and there are a lot of different options that can still fit the purpose of that contractual stream of income. So the first one is called period certain income annuity. This is where you could pick a certain amount of months or a certain amount of years that annuity will pay you a certain monthly income amount. It's contractual, it's guaranteed by the insurance company. And so if a client says, hey, I want to retire at 62 and I'm feeling really good, I don't want to retire until I'm 70, all right, let's get an income stream for you potentially that is going to cover those essential costs. The other option is what is called a lifetime income annuity. And this is simply a guaranteed stream of income that's going to last as long as you last in life here. It is contractual, and there are some pros to this, okay? When you have this contractual income, it's just like your paycheck, okay? It's very similar to what you experience as you're working. First of the month, hey, here I get paid, and now I'm gonna have my expenses and bills. And that's really nice. The cons, though, that you want to be aware of is something that you want to spend some time worrying about, because the one side is nice for the income, but then the downside, you definitely want to learn about. A lot of times there's lack of liquidity, just meaning like you put a big lump sum in there to get that guaranteed income stream, but you lose some access to that money. Sometimes that can require a bigger portion of your retirement savings. There's going to be fees associated with those products. There could be surrender or termination fees that can be hefty. You have insurance company risk. If that insurance company fails, then that could be an interruption to your payments or to your product. So what I suggest that you do is you fire up your learning heart. When it comes to annuities, there are a lot of different options out there, and you're going to want to spend your time talking to these financial advisors that you trust. Start a conversation. Let them know the problem or the concern that you have. And then shop till you drop. Spend enough time knowing the pros and the cons. What is the purpose of that income annuity? So if it fits your goals and your objectives, then definitely look into it. If you're confused or not feeling confident about it, you always can give us a call. The plot twist is that there are income annuities that have these guaranteed lifetime withdrawal benefits. It's a little different way to give you that contractual guaranteed lifetime income, but it's structured differently. Have a great day. Thanks for watching.
When it comes to your financial future, what's the value of a truly objective opinion? As someone looking for financial guidance, you have choices. There are thousands of captive financial professionals who work as employees for large national insurance companies and brokerages. There are also many independent financial professionals who aren't bound to any given insurance company, investment strategy, or product. So what's the difference, and why does it really matter to you? Consider this. If you walked into a doctor's office with a sore throat, a bad cough, and a high fever, you'd expect that doctor to assess your symptoms, do a thorough diagnosis, and ultimately hand you a prescription written to cure your particular ailment. In other words, you'd expect the doctor to consider all the medications available and give you his or her absolute best thinking on what's best for you. On the other hand, if that doctor opened the cupboard and only had 3 or 4 prescriptions available, maybe those offered by his or her favorite pharmaceutical rep, most patients would immediately raise an eyebrow, suspicious that they might not be getting what was really in their best interest. The same may be true for your financial well-being. If your financial professional is an employee who's contractually bound to represent a given insurance or investment company, only offering their products while there are literally hundreds of others available, how sure can you be that you're being offered what's truly best for your situation? You don't walk into a tailor or seamstress shop to get clothing off some rack. You go for a custom-tailored fit. And with something as important as your financial future at hand, the stakes are even higher. We believe you deserve a truly objective opinion. We think you deserve to consider more of the available options. And we believe your financial future is worth a custom-tailored prescription to help you feel confident for the days ahead. If you'd like a second opinion on your current retirement strategy, simply contact our office today.
In today's day and age, with a longer lifespan, you're more likely to encounter both good and bad market performance. For that reason, when planning for retirement, it's increasingly important to seek guidance from a financial advisor who can help you structure an income strategy that reflects your financial situation, risk tolerance, and investment objectives. You don't want just any advice, but objective financial advice. With so much at stake, it's important that you feel you can trust a financial advisor to consider a wide variety of possible solutions, including both investment and insurance products. Here at Centennial Wealth Advisory, we're not beholden to any certain investment tools or vehicles. We're independent. We can offer a wide variety of investment tools that meet your needs. So please, if you have any questions or you want to schedule an initial consultation, don't hesitate to give us a call at the number on the screen. We're happy to help in any way that we can. All right, let's talk about Roth conversions today. Roth accounts are probably one of my favorite type of retirement accounts next to HSAs. But I love Roth accounts because we get that tax-free growth in those accounts, and also they're great for legacy planning. So you can pass on some tax-free assets to your heirs down the road. But let's talk about specifically Roth conversions. What are they? How do they work? And what are the benefits of doing those? And so essentially a Roth conversion is taking money from that IRA or 401k account where it's a pre-tax account, taking the money out of those pre-tax accounts, paying the tax on those funds now, and then moving them over into that Roth IRA account. Once you're in that Roth IRA account, you've paid the tax on those funds, and those funds will grow, well, hopefully if the market appreciates, right, for the rest of your life, right? And they grow tax-free. So when you take the money out 10, 15, 20 years down the road, you don't have to worry about where tax rates are at that point in time. And that's one of the main advantages to doing these Roth conversions, because where do you think tax rates are going to go from here? Probably up, right? So if you plan on taking money from your retirement account some 20 years from now, tax rates probably will be higher. So if you can pay Uncle Sam and get Uncle Sam out of your pocket now, you'll pay less taxes possibly in the future. So how do we go about determining how much to do for these Roth conversions on an annual basis? Well, it all boils down to your income. So you might want to make sure that you're meeting with your accountant or your financial advisor before you pull the trigger on doing these Roth conversions. But we want to make sure that we look at all your various income sources, and then we look at what tax bracket you fall into. And those income sources include any kind of pension income, so Security, or retirement distributions, which a Roth conversion, or taking money from the IRA and moving it to a Roth, would be considered income. So let's just run a scenario here where we have a working married couple, and they're bringing in, between the various income sources, $60,000 a year in income. Okay, so they fall kind of right in the middle of that 12% tax bracket. Now, the top of the 12% tax bracket is about $89,000. Now, we also have the standard deduction of 27 and change. Okay, so really the top of the 12% tax bracket is about $117,000. So what does that mean? Okay, well, the top of the 12% tax bracket being $117,000, if you're only showing $60,000 of income, that means that, hey, you've got some wiggle room there, right? You've got about $57,000 that you could take from the IRA, pay the tax on it at only a 12% rate, and get that over into a Roth account so those funds grow tax-free for the rest of your life. Now, if you did more, if you wanted to convert more than that $57,000, well, then you would bump up into the next tax bracket. And that might be something you want to avoid, because that next tax bracket, that goes from the 12% up to the 22%. Okay, so you'd be paying an extra 10 cents for every dollar that you pulled out of those pre-tax accounts to do those conversions. So that's why you want to make sure that you have a good handle on, okay, where's my income really at for the year, and how much room do I have in whatever tax bracket you're in to maximize that tax bracket and get Uncle Sam out of your pocket as early as possible. You know, growing up, I wasn't really a farmer, but I married into a farmer's family. And there's that old adage where, would you rather pay tax on the seed or the product, the finished product, the growth, okay? You probably want to pay tax on that seed or where it started, not where it ends up. Because, you know, going 20 years from now, that pre-tax balance, it's probably going to be a lot bigger than it is today. So wouldn't you rather pay tax on it now instead of down the road? Also, one more thing to think about is those required minimum distributions. Okay, when you're age 73, they're going to force you to take money out of that IRA or pre-tax account. So why not do it on your own terms? If you have any questions about doing those Roth conversions, please don't hesitate to give us a call.
Remember when life was simpler? When things didn't move quite so fast, and the world didn't seem so complex? Remember that? We do. And as the world around us has continued to speed up, becoming more complicated, and still a bit uncertain, we have managed to keep things simple, providing sound, easy-to-understand financial advice and customized roadmaps for the road ahead, from tax reduction strategies, investment advice, and guaranteed retirement income you cannot outlive, backed by the claims-paying ability of insurance companies. We can be your single point of contact, a single call, a voice you recognize well, and a partner who can be by your side for the entire journey. We can't stop the world around us, but we can help ensure you're prepared for what's to come. To schedule a no-obligation meeting, simply contact us today.
You can have a portfolio or you can have a plan. You can play it safely or you can safely plan. You can guess when to take Social Security or you can make your decision based on detailed analysis. You can hope your savings will last your entire retirement, or you can take action and know. You can let life happen to you, or you can take control. You can go it alone, or you can have an experienced guide ready to walk with you every step of the way. We are Centennial Wealth Advisory, financial planners serving all of northern Michigan, offices in Gaylord, Petoskey, Traverse City, and Cadillac. Simply call the number on your screen for a complimentary initial consultation and let us help you plan to retire well.
Make the most of Social Security. Although Social Security isn't designed to cover all of your income needs, it's an important part of the retirement puzzle. Download our free booklet on the Social Security decisions at cen-wealth.com and learn how to optimize Social Security for your situation. Why timing is so important when it comes to your benefits, ways to supplement your Social Security, and more. There is no cost and no obligation. Simply go to cen-wealth.com, scroll down, and click the download link to get your free booklet on the Social Security decisions.
Are you considering purchasing a home, a second home in your retirement? This is a very big decision with a lot of different factors to walk through. So I've noticed over the years that I've been here at Centennial Wealth Advisory that a lot of folks have been shifting away maybe more towards renting. They don't want the additional headaches of owning a home, especially if it's in another state. So, but it may be something that's your desire. So what will the total cost be for you? Not just the purchase price, but when you factor everything involved. So you got to consider, okay, what's the additional home insurance? What about property taxes, especially when it's not your principal residence? What about the maintenance? There's as a homeowner, you always know there's something that's going to come up and repairs that are going to be needed. What about traveling to and from this second home? Again, the repairs, different maybe renovations. You want to make some upgrades. Or what if it's in a community where then you have those homeowners association costs that seem to continue to rise? As I've talked to a number of you that own properties in Florida, and as you're seeing increased costs there. how will you pay for this, and what will that ultimately cost you? So are you going to be taking out a mortgage? Right now, with where interest rates fall, you've got to take that into consideration. And with that, are you looking at a 15, 20, 30-year mortgage? And how are you going to ultimately pay for that? Is it going to come through some type of withdrawal? Is it going to, if that's coming out of, let's say, different retirement accounts, there's going to be tax implications if it's coming out of your 401k or traditional IRA. And then you have to consider, well, the loss of the earning power on that money over the long term. And if you have to increase those withdrawals to cover the increased out-of-pocket expenses, such as taxes and maintenance, all those prices seem to, in this day and age, seem to be going up. So you have to factor that into your long-term projections. Another thing to consider is, how long do you plan on keeping this second home? Is it, if it's just maybe a short-term desire, well, we just want it for a couple, 3 years, what happens if the real estate market starts to drop? I know it's tough to imagine that right now as things continue going up, but that can turn as well, as we all experienced back in the 2008 timeframe. And is that a risk that you can afford to take if you invested however many hundreds of thousands into this investment and that value drops significantly? And it can also get into a little bit of a mess if you're looking at it, is it specifically just as a rental, or is it for personal use, or are you looking at some type of combination of the two? There's different tax rules or benefits maybe if you're looking at it from a rental perspective, but then when you start using it for personal use, you definitely would want to talk to a tax professional about that and weigh the pros and cons from a tax standpoint. Do you believe that property will appreciate over time? Do you think then if that does occur, factor in there's going to be future long-term capital gains when you go to sell that property, which again, paying capital gains usually isn't the worst thing, because you know then you made money on that investment, but it is something to be aware of. Where you're purchasing is a desirable area. Is it a place that you feel is growing and is going to see property values increase, and then future ease to sell that property when the time comes? You know, how old is the property? Are you looking at some major repairs, a new roof, new windows, doors, etc.? Is that going to come into play when you're factoring those costs? The key thing really comes down to affordability, and can your income and assets support this major purchase? If not, there's going to be a fair amount of risk involved with owning a second home, so maybe instead you just look to rent for 2 or 3 months or whatever length of time you're considering. Our team here at Centennial Wealth Advisory, we help you analyze your current financial situation, which could include just not only your income and investments, but look at the taxes, different insurance, help coordinate with estate planning attorneys, and ultimately determine your overall financial position and if you're well suited, let's say, to purchase that second home. So we encourage you, you're welcome to give us a call here, no cost, no obligation, second opinion. We'd love that opportunity to sit down with you and see if we can help you plan to retire well.